how do I mute this?
You're what?
How do I mute it again?
Okay, go into the triple button area.
Yep.
And then you'll see the mic.
Just, yep.
And then not the one that says output, go across to output and click mute.
I really wanted him to leave the house during COVID because he was missing out on any, well, you know, with Jonah, but you were missing out on any real high school experience.
Totally. All right, I'm testing to make sure we're actually on. Everybody. We are on. We are about to start. All right, Shabbat Shalom, good morning. Thank you for being here. We've got lots of exciting things happening. We've got an Ufruf. We've got a 50th anniversary. We have Charlotte Raganese hopefully arriving in the next 5 minutes or so to lead Shachari. If not, she might be leading Musaf. All right, we're going to begin with just a teeny bit of stalling. We're going to begin with Matovu on page 68. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Matovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Please rise, page 73. Baruch atah l'mechalam, asher atan l'sati ben alefim ben yom uben laila. Baruch atah l'mechalam, shesani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah l'mechalam, shesani Yisrael. Baruch atah l'mechalam, shesani b'chorim. Baruch atah l'mechalam, pokech ivrim. Baruch atah l'mechalam, al bisharomim. Baruch atah l'mechalam, atir asurim. Baruch atah l'mechalam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah l'mechalam, Baruch atah l'mayim. Baruch atah l'mechalam, she'asali kol tzarki. Baruch atah l'mechalam, hamitim tzadik gaver. Baruch atah l'mechalam, osher Yisrael b'gvurah. Baruch atah l'mechalam, osher Yisrael b'tifarah. Baruch atah l'mechalam, hanoten le'orev koach. We may be seated. I'm going to do a little extra psuke today because just being hopeful. On page 76. Baruch atah Adonai, gomel chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael, yiratzon Adonai Elohai v'Elohei avotai. Page 80. Asher matov chalkenu, ma'im goralenu, ma'afayu shatenu, asher eshnat mashkmim haramivim, erev avoker v'rim pamayim b'chol yom, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. All right, I'm now going to jump to page 134, seeing what I wanted to see. And nobody's late, it's just, we just always concerned. By the way, if you are watching online, just so you know, we hope it'll work today. Our main stream person, Josh, is in Spain, and he helped me. Our internet is not really working, so we're streaming through a regular LTE data line, which he needed to help me set up this morning. So thank you, Josh, from Spain, where he's speaking about all kinds of issues related to cancer. And anyway, it's great to have him helping us, and hopefully this will last the entire service. It will certainly be better than last night if you tried to watch. It could not be worse. Page 134. Hallelujah, 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 El Bekocho, hallelujah, hallelujah, Beki Ahuzo, hallelujah, 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 big burotaf, hallelujah, hallelujah, kerov kulo, hallelujah, 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 betreka shofar, hallelujah, hallelujah, benevel bechinor, hallelujah, 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 betohu maho, hallelujah, hallelujah, beminim behuga, hallelujah, 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 betil v'lei shama, hallelujah, hallelujah, betil v'lei truah, kol hanshamate hallelujah, kol hanshamate hallelujah, kol hanishamate hallelujah, hallelujah, kol hanishamate hallelujah, hallelujah. Page 143. Nishmat kol chai tivarech et shimcha. Yitmelach umi heshvelach umi arop lach. Hayal hagadol hagibor v'nora le'yon kodei shamayim va'aretz. Nalelcha shpechach nefercha nevrechet shem kodshecha. Kamor l'Levi brachi nefshi et Adonai. V'chok rabbai et shem kodsho. Hayal v'tatzu moduzecha. Hagadol b'kvod shemecha. Hagibor l'netzach v'nora v'noratecha. Hamelech hayoshev al kisei ram v'nisah. We're about to be on page 149. We invite Charlotte to come up and she will lead us in Shacharit this morning, 149.
Shochin had maharom v'kadosh lemo Chaturan tzadihim la'Adonai, la'sharim navatahila, v'fi asharim titalal, u'fi tzadihim tiparach, v'vishon chasidim tipromam, u'kerev kidhoshim tikadash, u'machalot rivevotam chadei Yisrael. Shekin chovet kol ha'yitzarim lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu lehodot lehalel leshabeach lefa'er leomim lehater levarech leleokaleis al kol divrei shirut v'tishbachot David ben Yashai avtecha meshichecha yishtabach shimcha le'anavinu. Berachot v'hoda'ot me'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, el melech gadol batishbachot, el ha'oda'ot adon haniflaot, habocher v'shirei simra, melech lahei ha'olamim. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, ve'amati brachute ve'amlech malchute, v'chayachon v'yomechon, u'chayedecho beit Yisrael, v'agalav yisman kariv, v'imru Amen. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach, v'yipar v'yishmam v'yinaseh, yitadar v'yitalei, v'yitalosh me'likudesha, v'rehu. Le'elam min kol berchata, v'shirata tishbechata v'nehemata, damiran be'alma v'imru Amen.
Please rise for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, yotzer or u'borei choshech, osei shalom u'borei hakol. In kirkecha ve'ein tzulatecha, efes biltecha, u'midol melach. In kirkecha ve'ein tzulatecha, efes biltecha, u'midol melach. In kirkecha Adonai Eloheinu melech hazeh, ve'ein tzulatecha mokil chayei olam haba. Efes biltecha go'aleinu limot HaMashiach, ve'eino melech HaMashiach l'tziat hametim. El Adon al kol ha'ma'asim baruch u'mvorach, befi kol neshama godlo v'tuvo, malei olam da'at u'tbuna soveb imoto. Hanita el achayot hakodesh ve'nedar b'chavu al ha'merkava, zechu tu'mishor lifnei chivso, chesed ve'rachamim lifnei chevoto. Tovim me'oro shebara Eloheinu yitzaram, v'da'at v'bina u'paskel koach u'gvura. Natan bahem liot moshim bekerev tevel, Netheim ziv umfikim nova, Nahezivam bechol ha'olam, Semeichim etzeitam v'sasim be'boam, Osim be'ema ritzon konam, Pe'er v'chavo, Nodim lishmot sokola verina lezecher malchuto kara lashemesh vayizra hora vehikin surat havana shevach nodim lo kol sevan maharon tiferet hu gedula Seraphim ve'ofanim ve'chayot ha'kodesh la'el asher shavai mikol ha'ma'asim. Tibarach Sureinu Malkinu V'Go Aleinu Borei Kedoshim Yishtabach Shimcha Le'ad Malkinu. V'chulam kotim et pihem pichu shav shavora pichu rav zimra umfarchim shavichim umfarim marutzim umaktishim umanlichim et shem ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol ha'gibor v'ha'norah ha'doshu. V'chulam mekablim aleihem u'machlish mayim zemisev v'nomim reshut zel haseh v'havdish lotzam b'nachat ruach v'safa v'ruah u'nimakushat kulam Kechadonim ve'yomrim be'ira Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzevaot Melech ha'aretz kevodo V'ha'ofanim v'chayot ha'kodesh bera'ash gadol V'nasim le'mat serafim le'matam mishabefim ve'omrim Baruch kechod Adonai mikolo. Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, V'nizkechu anu me'era le'oro, me'era le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer ha'me'orot.
Amen.
Ahava Rabbah
163.
Adonai Eloheinu Laget olavet leira Chamalta aleinu Avinu malkeinu V'havur avoteinu Shebachnu lecha Avinu malkeinu V'telam temchu b'chaim Kim techonenu kamtenu Avinu Avarachaman Cham rachem rachem aleinu V'tein b'libenu lehavin Ulhaskel lishmo Lilmod u'lelamed Lishmor v'lasot Ukayem et kol tivrei Talmud Torah techa ve'ahava V'ha'erenenu v'torah techa V'davik libeinu v'mitzvotecha Ve'yached le'alenu Le'achava u'yira et shemecha Ve'lo Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
page 167 through 169.
Ma'am tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai vehitem kedoshim alechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotziti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim le'olachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Adonai Elohechem emet. Dorvator kayam mishmo kayam v'chistan achonim achuto v'emanoto le'ad kayam et v'varach chayim v'kayamim. Emet shata v'ananai Eloheinu v'lahei avotenu malkeinu melech avotenu goleinu b'el avotenu yitzreinu tzvishvatenu v'odenu matzilenu me'elam shenecha en Elohim zulatech Zrat avotenu atahu me'olam. Amen, 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 atahu rishon. Amen, 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 atahu acharon. Umi baladecha, Emanu melech go'elu Moshiach. Umi baladecha, Emanu melech go'elu Moshiach. Amen, 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 atahu rishon. Amen, 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 atahu acharon.
Be at the top of page 173.
Tehilot Elohim Baruch Umvarach Moshe B'nai Yisrael L'chanu Shirai V'simcha Rabba V'emru Kulam Mihi Chamocha B'Heinim Atonai Mihi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh Norah Tehilot O Seifele Norah Tehilot O Seifele Shira Chadasha Shipru Gehulim Leheshim Ha'asvatayam Yachad Kulam Koturim Liku Ve'yamru Adonai Yimno Le'olam Va'ed Zor Yisrael Kuma Be'ezra Yisrael Uvtei U'mecha Yehuda Ve'Yisrael Go Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch Atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Amen. We're going to do the Amidah privately first, 175 to 192, and then we'll repeat it.
say shalom b'romav, say shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al Yisrael.
We're going to repeat the Amidah back on page 175, and I'll take over sort of after the Kedusha. When we get to there on page 180. I'll begin on page 175.
Adonai, sefatek tiftach ufi agim tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagabor Kavimbo Adonai, El Elyon, El Chasadim Tovim, V'chonei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avu, V'meiti Goel Livnei Lechem, L'man Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magin. Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham, Ufokei Tzara. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Meitim Atara V'Hoshia. Mechalkei Chayim V'Chesed, Mechayei Meitim V'Rachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mechayei Emunato, Lishnei Afar, Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot, U'Midom Elach, Melech Me'ir Tu'Mechayei, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman Atah L'Chachayot Meitim. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei Ha'Meitim.
Please rise for the Kedusha.
Mekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Yeshim shemabtishim ma'oto b'shrei marom, Rakatu v'yan nevi'echa, Dekara ze'el ze've'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzebaot, Adir v'chazak mashvi'im kol, v'nasim le'omat serafim, le'omatam baruch yomeru, baruch yevod Adonai mimkom lecha melkeinu, jofia v'timloch aleinu, ki mechakim anachnu lach. Matai timloch b'tzion, v'karov emin elam v'etishbon, tikadal v'tikadash, v'toch Yerushalayim ircha, le'dor v'ador, u'lenetzach netzachim, ve'eineinu tirena malchutecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Yasher Koach may be seated. We're going to be on page 181 and beautifully led Shachari. Charlotte, thank you so much. It's always just a treat when we have you here to lead. Yismach, Yismach, Yismach Moshe b'matnat, b'matnat, b'matnat chelko, ki eved ne'eman, ne'eman, ay karatalo, ay, Yismach, Yismach, Yismach Moshe b'matnat, b'matnat, b'matnat chelko, ki eved ne'eman, ne'eman, ay karatalo. בראשו נתת בעומדו לפניך על הר סיני ושני לוחות אבנים חורית בידו וכתוב בהם שמירת שבת וכן כתוב בתורתך ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ונהי מבני ישראל עתידי עולם כי שכינו מסר אדוני השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ולא נתתו אדוני אלינו אלוקי ארצו ולא חנכתו מלכי לעובדי פסילים וגם מנוחתו לא ישכנו ערלים ולישראל עמך נתתו באהבה לזרע Akov asher bam bacharta mekadeshe shvi Shabbat ulam yisbeu v'tamru mituvecha Shabbat v'hashvi'i ratzitavo v'kidashto Shabbat chemdat yamim oto karata zecher l'maaseh bereishit Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Ritzei V'imnuchatenu Kadshenu b'mitzvotecha V'tein chelkenu b'toratecha Tzavenu mituvecha V'samchenu b'shuatecha V'taher libeinu Le'ovdecha be'emet V'hanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu V'yahava uvratzon Abad kodshecha V'yanuhu v'Yisrael V'kadshe shemecha Baruch atah Adonai V'kadesh Shabbat Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu V'amcha Yisrael Uvi tefilatam V'shevet avot v'reitecha V'shei Yisrael Utefilatam be'ahava Tikabel be'ratzon Uti l'ratzon tamid Avodat Yisrael Amecha V'techezedna Eineinu V'shucha Letzion V'rachamim Baruch atah Adonai Hamachazir Shechinato Hamachazir Shechinato Letzion Bodim Anachnu La Shetanen Yakulam Yifarach Vibramam Shimcha Malkinu Tamidei Olam Va'ed V'imdu Chasela V'luet Shemecham V'emet Elishu Atenu V'ezratenu Sela Baruch atah Adonai Hato Shimcha L'chana El Lehodot Eloheinu V'lei Avotenu Barakenu Bambracha HaMeshuleshet B'Torah HaKtuvah Al Yedei Moshe Avdecha Ha'amura Mip'aronu Vanav Ha'amura Mip'aronu Vanav Ha'amura Mip'aronu Vanav Kohanim Am Kedoshecha Ka'amur Yerech Rai V'Yishmerecha Yerech Rai V'Yikunecha Yisad Rai V'Navedecha V'Yisem Lecha Shalom Sim shalom tova uvracha chen b'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha barcheinu aminu kulanu ke'echad ve'or panecha ki ve'or panecha natata lanu Adonai Eloheinu sim shalom Balam tova uvracha chen b'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha Torah Chaim Ve'avat Chesed Ve'avat Chesed Utzedaka Uvracha Ve'rachamim Ve'chaim Ve'shalom Sim Shalom Ba'alam Tova Uvracha Chen V'chesed Ve'rachamim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Amecha V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. ברוך אתה Adonai, ברוך אתה Yisrael b'shalom. We're going to turn to Kaddish Shalem, page 193. I'd like to ask Charlotte to come back, and if you don't mind doing that in just the beginning of the Torah service, that'd be fantastic. Page 193.
יתגדל ויקדש שמי רבה, ויעמד יברכו תבמך מלכותי, וחי חונן ומכונן חי לכל בית ישראל, והגלה בזמן קריב והנרו. יהי שמי רבה ובורך, ויעלם יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ויתרומם וינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקדושה. לעילם ינקו ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה דמירם בעלמם והנרו. תתגבר סלטון ובתוכם בכל ישראל, קודם ובהון ובשמיא והנרו. יהי שלום רב ומשמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל והנרו. עושה שלום ברמך, ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל והנרו.
Yasher Koach. Going to turn now to page 195 for our Torah service. We invite our ark openers to come up. This time, Obi and Larry and Steve Shue want to come up, and you will carry the Torah today. And with permission from some of our positions committee, you can touch the Torah with your Purba or Talit and kiss it. However, I will no longer be walking around the room shaking any hands whatsoever. So anyway, and I won't even walk around the room because it's too tempting. Someone sticks out their hand accidentally, I shake it. So anyway, that's what we're doing now. Page 195.
In kamocha Elohim Adonai, ve'in k'ma'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimlok le'olam va'ed, Adonai oz le'lo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom, Barachamim v'tiva v'rtzoncha, et tzivio, tivnei cholot Yerushalayim, tivnei cholot Yerushalayim, livecha levad v'tachnu, melech Elron ben Yisrael olamim.
Please rise as the ark is open.
Vayhi b'tzor ha'aron vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai ve'afutzu oivecha, ve'yanusu misanecha mipanecha. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, ki mitzion teitzei Torah, u'nivayel Adonai Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah. Ana Emar Tushbehan Yehera Abad Rodama Deti Kachli Beora Etam Betashi Mishalim Delivi Deliva Deholama Yisrael Detavu Lechaim Delishlam Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol, Adonenu Kadosh Mo. Echad Eloheinu Gadol, Adonenu Kadosh Mo. Basul Adonai Iti, Unerom Lashem Lo Yakta. Echad Adonai Hagidu Hagidu
All right, we may be seated. We're going to turn to page 851 in our Eitz Chaim Chumash. Page 851. We are going to be on chapter 15, verse 8. The Torah portion is Shalach Lecha, and it's not the part you know, or at least the beginning is the part you know, because in our triennial cycle, which means we're reading from a third of each portion each year, and this year on all the thirds, instead of the part about the scouts being sent into the land to scout out if it's conquerable, and the scouts come back and say, it's a great land, there's milk and honey there, but there's also giants, and there's just no way we can do it. 10 of them do that anyway. Caleb and Joshua say we can do it. But that's not the part we get. We get, really, once again, sacrificial offerings. However, at the end, we get quite a story about a wood gatherer who is gathering wood on Shabbat, violating it, and ends up being stoned to death. And then we get a little bit about tzitzit, a passage you know quite well. The first aliyah will be chapter 15, verses 8 through 10. Talks about the mincha solet, which is a grain offering, and wine comes along with the animal as we continue to look for it. Here it is.
I got it.
It's found, and our first aliyah Kohen today we call upon Mike Aronson.
ויעזור בגין ושילח הלך נוסעים בו ונאמר אמן הכל הבו גדול הננו כבוד לתורה כהן קרב יעמוד מיכאל בן רפאל ואברהם הכהן baruch shatan Torah li'amo Yisrael b'kedushato v'yatem avikim adonai Elohechem chayim kochem hayom
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch le'olam va'ed Baruch
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'kavanu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. B'kita asebem bakar olah Shabbat l'palei neder shlamim l'Adonai. Vehi grieve al bakar mincha. So let Shlosha Esrogim v'lu v'shem echatzi yamim v'yayim tagriv l'nes echatzi yamim in sheriach nichalav l'Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayolam natan b'tokeinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And the second aliyah, what you have here is that the Ger and the Israelites all have the same rules. Chapter 15, verses 11 through 16. We're now going to have the next three aliyot, I believe, will all be taken by people associated with Joe and Sheila Millman, who will be celebrating their 50th anniversary today. And so one of their daughters and husband are coming up first, right? So it's like the Heim clan coming up first.
Yandu, Hana Malka, but Yosef, the Sarah, the Yaakov ben Shalom, Sheni.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bakar bani mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Kacha yaseh lashor echad ol ayel echad. ולסבך לשים ובעזים כמספר אשר תעשו ככה תעשו לאחד כמספרם כל האזרח יעשה ככה אלה להקריב איש ירח ניחוח לאדוני וכי יגור איתכם גר אשר בתוככם לדורותיכם ויעשה איש ירח ניחוח לאדוני כאשר תעשו כן יעשה הקהל חוקה אחת לכם ולגר בקר חוקת עולם לדורותיכם ככם כגר יהיה לפני אדוני תורה אחת ומשפט אחד יהיה לכם ולגר הגר איתכם.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'hayei olam natan b'tokeinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. The third aliyah, set aside some of the bread for God. This is where we actually get challah. You see the word challah in this passage in 17 through 21. Challah doesn't actually mean grated egg bread, even though, believe it or not, even though any bakery that will sell it's called challah, because that's how it's used, but that's actually not what it's meant halachically or in the Torah. It means a portion of the dough is taken out and burnt up, right, offered to God in ancient times. But even today, it's still done. If you look at a kosher bakery, it'll say challah is taken, rather than we make challah here. It means they're taking that little portion of dough and just offering it up, even though it's no longer an official sacrifice. But that's what has to be done. So some kosher bread, even in the shape of challah, is actually does not count as challah because challah is not taken. All right, so, and some do, some do. Anyway, that's what you got. Of course, you would still say motzi over a bread where challah is not taken, so it's even more confusing. But anyway, you'll see the word challah in it. And all the way from Fairfax High, right?
No, Uni High.
Oh, Uni High, sorry about that. John Burroughs Middle School? No, not even.
Emerson.
Okay, so I thought you went to the same schools as Kendrick Kaplan.
Yes.
My father went to Fairfax, which is close, but not there.
Yeah.
Did you also go there?
Yeah, I was
In New York, whole different. But anyway, so they didn't meet in high school then.
Oh.
But 50 years, we're going to celebrate when you're done with your aliyah. And if you're sort of tall, be ready for me to call on you.
Ya'amad Yosef Yaakov ben Binyamin Shlishi.
Baruch et Adonai HaMorah.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'charbanu mikol ha'amim v'na'atan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notei ha'Torah.
Amen.
Vaydaber Adonai al Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael, v'amarta alechem, v'vachem el ha'aretz, asher ani nevi'echem shama v'chaya, v'acholchem milechem ha'aretz, tarimu tiruma l'Adonai. Reshit arisot echem chala tarimu tiruma utruma goren kain tarimu ota mereshit arisot echem titnu ladonai tiruma ledorotechem.
Yasher Koach.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notei ha'Torah.
Amen. Yasher Koach. All right, Steve Shue, Mike Aronson, Paul, and I know you just got here for the first time, but you look quite tall, Eric, so come on up. And you're going to hold a talit over their heads, and Joe's usually one of the tall people holding the... Yeah, come on up front for a second.
It's been a while.
There we go.
There you go.
All right. Oh, that was great. Okay. Shabbat Chavatenu Avraham Yitzchak V'Koser. Karach Havaleh Hu Yivarech Et Mishpachat Milman. She'alu Likvod HaMakom, Likvod HaTorah, Likvod HaShabbat, V'Likvod Et HaShana Chamishim Mechatunah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yadrichem Livnot Bait B'Yisrael Asher Bo Yishkenu Ava V'Chava V'Shalom V'Reut V'Yislach V'Chava Hatzcha B'Chom Ha'Seyadim V'Nomar Amen. May the one who bless your ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah bless this bride and groom, Sheila and Joe, who've been called to read Torah, honor Shabbat, honor their family, honor our community. May the Holy One continue to help you to build a home amongst the people of Israel, wherein will dwell love and harmony, peace and friendship. May God send blessing and success in all the work of your hands, and let us say, Amen. Siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov, siman tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, siman tov. Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael. Mazel tov. What's the secret for 50 years?
I think you find humor in life.
Yeah.
Humor in life.
Yeah.
Humor in life. Can grow.
And also eat healthy.
Yeah, and knowing when to not say something too.
Humor and knowing when to not say something. All right, beautiful words. Thank you.
There we go.
Yasher Koach. There's another one coming up in one more aliyah. Yes, because the fourth aliyah will be the woman's other daughter and husband, and we are on 15 verses 22 through 26. This is, yeah, so do you have the Chumash open or no? Page one, or I was going to tell you?
852.
We're at 852, chapter 15 verses 22, page 852, and now you have the sin of omission, unwitting, when it's done communally. That's this next aliyah.
Yehudit Vatsara Revi'i.
Baruch et Adonai Hamburah. Baruch Adonai Hamburah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Asher diber Adonai al Moshe, Asher tzivah Adonai alechem v'yad Moshe, v'hayom Asher tzivah Adonai v'ha'al adorotechem, v'haya v'nei hayda, v'eshtal ishtaga, v'asu v'hayda, v'helacha, v'chadeilah, v'reach mikol Adonai, v'mifatem v'nispeh, v'mishpach, v'siridim, v'chachach, v'chachach, v'tiper v'chalim, v'chodat, v'Yisrael v'nispach, v'chem, v'shi'arati, v'hem, v'hiyu Adonai, v'yisrael Adonai, v'chachach, v'shnei Adonai, asher tigatach. V'nisach v'chodat b'nei Yisrael, v'lager hagar v'tochan, ki v'choham
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tokenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Fifth aliyah, now the sins individually, 27 through 31. We call for the Book group getting married tomorrow. We call upon Noam and Michelle. And if you are part of their party, I actually want you to move up just for a little bit. Get a little closer if you don't mind. We don't want objects hurled all over at other folks.
Oh my God.
So, and it's a gentle shower. It's not a... Again, part of the reason why we only do it for weddings here and not for bar mitzvahs.
Yamdu Yehuda David ben Michael Elishava. Mishabakya Bad Mordecai the Chava Zivka Amishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborah. Baruch Adonai Hamborah le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen.
Amen. V'imnatzer shalcha ha'tefet ha'tishtaka, v'hikriva, Esvashnata Lechatai V'chiper HaKohen Al HaNefesh HaShogeget V'cheta V'ishtaga Lifnei Adonai Lechaper Alav V'nislach Lahu Haizach B'nei Yisrael V'lager Hagar B'tocham Torah Chatia Elochem Leoseh B'ishtaga V'hanefesh Asher Ta'aseh B'yad Ramah Min hazach u'min hager Et Adonai hu megadem V'nifreta Hanefesh hahi Mekerev amah Ki devar Adonai basah Vet mitzvato kefar Tikaret Hanefesh hahi Avonava.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher natan lanu Torat emet V'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
All right, come on front again. Chuppah team, come on up again. Team tall, team chuppah. This one will be a little easier for you.
Okay.
And I know you've been waiting a long time for this, actually. Right?
Yeah.
A few fits and starts, so it's just delightful to have you here and be able to celebrate this moment with you. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarav Karach Leah V'Yavarech Et Hachatan Noam
Yehuda
David
ben Michael v'Elisheva.
Ben Michael v'Elisheva She'ala Likvod HaMakom Likvod HaTorah Likvod HaShabbat V'Yad HaKala
Misha Batya,
Bat Mordechai V'Chava Dubka She'ala Likvod HaMakom Likvod HaTorah Likvod Shabbat HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yad Richem Livnot Bayit B'Yisrael Asher Bo Yishkenu Avav Yachavav V'Shalom Brayot V'Shem Bracha V'Hatzlacha B'Chol Maseh Edem V'Nomar Amen. Anyone who blessed your ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless this groom Noam and this bride Michelle, who've been called to honor this place, the Torah and Shabbat. May the Holy One lead you to build a home amongst the people of Israel wherein will dwell love and harmony. And I say amongst the people of Israel, and then also next week in the land of Israel for Yerach Vash, which they call moon honey in Hebrew. But remember that taxi driver? Yeah. Anyway, amongst the people of Israel, where we'll dwell love and harmony, peace and friendship, and may God send blessing, success in all the work of your hands. And let us say Amen. And may you, may you be fruitful, multiplier, have as much joy as this, as you will be showered upon with sweets right now. The sixth Aliyah, chapter 15. Now, here's where it gets very difficult. We have the wood gatherer who gets stoned for violating Shabbat. The rabbinic commentaries argue over what was the exact nature of this of the transgression. Was it just violating Shabbat in general, or was it purposefully doing it in front of everybody to show that he was a violator? Either way, it's a painful episode. We call upon Eleanor de Koven, commemorating the Yortzeit for the 6th Aliyah.
Talmud, Elizabeth, Harav, Raphael, the Esther, Shishi.
Baruch Hu Adonai Baruch.
Baruch
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Voed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam Asher B'Charbonu Mikol Ha'amim V'Natanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayiyu Bnei Yisrael Bamidbar Vayimtzeu Ish Mekoshesh Etzim Beyom HaShabbat Vayakrivu Oto Hamotzim Oto Mekoshesh Etzim El Moshe ve'Aharon ve'el Kol ha'edah Vayanichu Oto B'mishmar Ki lo farash Ma ye'aseh lo Vayomer Adonai el Moshe Mot yumad ha'ish Ragol moto Uvabanim kol ha'edah Michutz למחנה ויוציאו אותו כל העדה אל מחוץ למחנה וירגמו אותו באבנים וימות כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Olam Natav B'tocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen. Yeshua. All right, the 7th Torah reading, which I'll be doing, is the part you know from the end of the Ve'ahavta with the tzitzit. And we're going to call upon Simone and Jana to recite the Aliyah. And just to point out, we had an embarrassment of riches today. Both Simone and Noam have volunteered to do Musaf today. We're going to give the precedent to our room today for the strength. But yes, an embarrassment of people willing to help today.
Tamdu, Malka Elisheva, Bat Chaim V'Sara, the Simon, Bat Malka Elisheva, Shadi'i.
Baruch Adonai HaBorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar banu mikol ha'amim V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Adonai Moshe lemor daber b'nei Israel v'marta lehem v'zu lahem tzitzit hakad v'vigdehem ledoratam v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf v'titacheled v'yalachem letzitzit uritem oto וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אליכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu.
Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yeshua.
Please rise to the Chatzikach.
Yikada, v'yikada shemei Rabbah. Amen. Mandira pirte v'yamlif maflute.
V'chayet chom yom echom v'chayet echol beit Yisrael. Agala, u'bizman karev. Amen. Yehesh le'Rabbah mevorach, v'yolam le'omei omaya yivarach.
Yivarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitramam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei kedushay. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata.
Tush v'chata v'nechemata na'amiran yamah.
V'yimaru.
Amen.
Ya'amod harav Mordechai ben Hershel v'chava hamaftir.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamdorah.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Elam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Elam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayomar Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Israel v'amarta lehem v'tlu lahem tzitzit al kafei v'ydehem l'dorotam v'natnu al tzitzit hakanaf v'titechelet v'yalachem l'tzitzit uritem oto וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמן. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chei lo nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Inclusive Mishaberach for all who read. Mishaberach Hakein Abraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Karach Avaleah. Hu yivarech et kofer masher alu hayom v'makom likvot patra likvot Shabbat. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yivarech ol tamid mishpachotam v'atzak v'avatchal v'chol meseidim v'chol shnechem v'nomar. Amen. For all who are ill, thinking especially today of Scott Lawrence, Dolly Bat Razel, Barbara Rose, Ilya Oath, Karina Gola Bat Hadavi Yehud Tzvi, Leah Yehud Bat Shena, Shabtai Dov Ben Shimon Moshe, Ray Rancho, Rosie Gurman, Yehiel Ben Ali, Zah, Shulamit Bat Leah, Adele Mendelson, Marina Gottschalk, Elizabeth Rav Raphael Esther, Moshe Ben Reuven, Mordechai Moshe Ben Dolber, Moshe Ben Kaidel Shena, Aaron McCann, Patricia De La Puente Rose, Jovan Kugelgen, Diana Parker, Rachel Shulamit Bat Yehudi, Leroy Muzzy, Martin Bruce Cohen, Rachel Bat Esther Fruma, Devorah Bat Eidel Tzipa, Yitzhak Ben Datan Basara, Shana Leah Bat Ruth, Mary Beth Shu Brower, Sanjana Anand. If you have any other names of those who are ill, please just go ahead and say them out loud this time.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu v'kor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We rise
rise now for Hagba and Galila.
Yamot, Magia Tamot, Agolelet.
Shalom. We may be seated. I'm going to have a very long introduction to the Haftorah today, a sort of mini sermon. There's a separate talk coming later, but when we get there, it can be found on page 857. So I want to talk about red and blue for a second, not red, white, and blue, which is also getting increasingly difficult to talk about. And as we do the prayer for the country later, we can't, as we sit here in synagogue, and we really have a Shabbat from this, we can't pretend that we've lost so much with the Supreme Court case. And I think most people in this room, in any case, are very worried about civil rights in general and women's rights in particular after yesterday. But I'm talking about literally the colors red and blue for a moment, because they're prominently featured in the Torah and Haftorah. Now, Noam Michelle, when you go to Israel next week, you will, on your way to the Western Wall, you won't see as many of these as you used to have, but you will see people not only asking for tzedakah, but offering to exchange your tzedakah for a little red string, for which you will be brought luck, theoretically, and mazel, and a good future, a little red string. Well, you're about to see that red string, that red cord in the Haftorah. And how are you going to see it? Because it's a red cord or a crimson cord. The color is actually not adom in Hebrew. In this case, it's shani. It's tied to Rahab's window. Rahab is a prostitute. And they do that so they know when they take over. This is the battle of Joshua and Jericho that's happening in this Haftorah. And they know not to kill her. They have to spare her life because she's helped them. There's a certain irony here that the prostitute is the hero in the story. The non-Jewish prostitute is actually the hero. Anyway, they know to spare her life, and the red cord protects her. This is not the first time in the Tanakh that we see the red cord. We see it in Genesis 38:28 as well, when it's tied around whatever twin comes out first when Tamar gives birth. And that ends up being Paris. They know, which one would have, I guess, primogeniture and whatever other rights. This is, by the way, another prostitute, a Jewish prostitute, Tamar, acting as a prostitute because she is essentially a chained woman. She is no longer allowed to marry someone because both her husbands have been killed, and the next, their father doesn't want her to kill any more of her sons. Not, of course, that she's doing that. So he ends up sleeping with her father-in-law, that is, and anyway, that's where we get eventually Messiah. But all the red cord is tied to this, and you're going to see it in the Haftorah. It's the same red cord. There's a lot of superstition has developed around it, but it has biblical roots. It's not just people, selling bracelets to you on your way to the wall for luck. It's right there in the Torah, has brought these immense moments in the history, or at least the
the story of the Jewish people. Now that's the red part. What about the blue? Well, I just read about the blue. And again, it's not the color that, if you know Hebrew, that you're used to for blue. It's not kahol. It is techelet, which is, some sort of blue that probably comes from some sort of sea creature. And what it says in the Torah is that we're going to look at these commandments, uritem oto uschartem, and recall the mitzvot of God and observe them, so that you don't follow your heart and your eyes in your zonim, the same word that is prostitute, which was used where the red cord was. You don't follow your lustful urge. Now, according to the Talmud, this is in Menachot 43b, the mitzvah of the tzitzit, which again right now are not blue on mine. It's equal in weight to all the rest of the commandments combined. According to Rashbam, you're supposed to look upon them to remember, and remembering them leads to doing. Ramban points out that the object of the seeing is not the tzitzit, but actually the blueness. But we don't wear them on our tzitzit anymore. Why don't you have a blue cord? Because we're not really sure if we have the right exact color blue, because did it really come from this particular sea creature? And is this sea creature exist? There are those who believe it does still exist, that we found it, and occasionally you will have people who do have the blue thread on the talit. I even have one that has it, maybe just in case. I don't know, but it's either way. And why blue? Blue is like the sea is like the sky, and the sky is like the throne of glory. So it takes us all the way back to God. So blue and red, very important colors. Raise your hand if your favorite color is either blue or red. Just kind of fair. Okay, all right, a lot of you. I'm purple myself, but that combines them.
We used to tie a red bow under the crib of a new baby.
Right, so that also, tying red, there's a custom to tie a red bow under the crib of a baby, and that comes from the same place originally. And if you have, I was going to say, if you have Ashkenazic roots, there's a lot of superstition in the Pale Settlement, Eastern European Jews, but there's a lot of superstition in North African Jewish community as well. So it's just part of who we are. There used to be in the Reformed Prayer Book a prayer that said, "When superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye." And I was like, I kind of like the superstition part. Right? It kind of goes with religion. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's superstition, what's Torah, what's religion. But anyway, red and blue. When you go out there today and you see all kinds of red and blue, I want you to think of the tzitzit, the blue techelet, and the red cord, which we're going to read about right now with bracha. All right. So I need a blue or two. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratzav et ivreihem hanemirim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo u'Yisrael amo v'yeh ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayishlach Yoshua ben Nun min hashitim שניים אנשים מרגלים חרש לאמור לכו ראו את הארץ ואת יריחו וילכו ויבואו בית אישה זונה ושמה רחב וישכבו שמה ויאמר למלך יריחו לאמור הנה אנשים אוהן הלילה בבני ישראל לחקור את הארץ וישלח מלך יריחו אל רחב לאמור הוציא אנשים הבאים אלייך אשר באו לביתך כי לחקור את כל הארץ באו ותיקח האישה את שני האנשים ותצפנו ותאמר כן, באו אלי האנשים ולא ידעתי מאין המה, ויהי השער לסגור בחושך, ואנשים יצאו, לא ידעתי אנה הלכו האנשים, ירדפו מהר אחריהם כי תשיגום. והיא העלתם הגגה, ותבנם בפשטי העץ הפורחות לה על הגג. אנשים רדפו אחריהם דרך הירדן על המעברות, והשאר סגרו אחרי כאשר יצאו הרודפים אחריהם. והמה טרם ישכבון, והיא עלתה עליהם על הגג. ותאמר אל האנשים, ידעתי כי נתן אדוני לכם את הארץ, וכי נפלה אימתכם עלינו, וכי נמוגו כל יושבי הארץ מפניכם. כי שמענו אשר הוביש אדוני את מי ים סוף מפניכם, בצאתכם ממצרים, ואשר עשיתם לשקי מלכי האמורים, אשר בעבר הירדן לסיחון ולעוג, אשר החרמתם אותם. ונשמע וימס לבבינו, ולא קמה עוד רוח ואיש מפניכם, כי אדוני אלוהיכם הוא אלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת. ועתה הישבעו נא לי באדוני, כי עשיתי עמכם חסד, ועשיתם גם אתם עם בית אבי חסד, ונתתם לי אות אמת, וחמיתם את אבי ואת אמי, ואת אחי ואת אחיותי, ואת כל אשר להם, והצלתם את נפשותינו ממוות. ויאמרו לאנשים, נפשנו תחתיכם למות, אם לא תגידו את דברנו זה. ויתת אדוני לנו את הארץ, ועשינו עמך חסד ואמת. ותורידם בחבל בעד החלון, כי ביתה בקיר החומה, ובחומה היא יושבת. ותאמר להם, החרה לכו פן יפגעו בכם הרודפים, ונחבאתם שמה 30 ימים עד שוב הרודפים, ואחר תלכו לדרככם. ויאמרו אליה האנשים, נקיים אנחנו משבועתך הזה אשר השבעתנו. הנה אנחנו באים בארץ את תקוות חוד. השני הזה תקשרי בחלון אשר הורדתנו בו, ואת אביך ואת אמך ואת אחייך ואת כל בית אביך תחצבי אלייך הביתה. והיה כל אשר יצא מדלתי ביתך החוצה, דמו וראשו, ואנחנו נקיים, וכל אשר יהיה איתך בבית, דמו וראשנו, אם יד תהיה בו, ואם תגידי את דברנו זה, והיינו נקיים משבועתך אשר השבעתנו. ותאמר כדבריכם כן הוא, ותשלחם וילכו, ותקשור את תקוות השני בחלון. וילכו ויבוא אחרה, וישבו שם 3 ימים עד שבו הרודפים, ויבקשו הרודפים בכל הדרך ולא מצאו. וישובו 2 אנשים וירדו מההר ויעברו ויבואו אל יהושע בן נון ויספרו לו את כל המוצאות אותם. ויאמרו אל יהושע כי נתן אדוני בידינו את כל הארץ וגם נמוגו כל יושבי הארץ מפנינו. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העמים צדיק בכל הדורות אלא נאמן אומר ועושה המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמרים דבריך ודבר אחד מדבריך אף לא ישוב ריקם כי המלך נאמן ורחמן אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני אל נאמן בכל דבריו. רחם על ציון כי בית חיינו ולבש נפש תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני משמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו ויואב הנביא עבדך ובמלכות בית דוד משיחך במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו. על כיסאו לא ישב זר ולא ינחלו עוד אחרים את כבודו כי בשם קודשך נשבעת לו שלא יקפה נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מגן דוד על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Baruch T.A. All right, page 224, prayer for the state of Israel. Actually, first 223, prayer for our country, prayer for America, and we need it, and I already just mentioned, I don't have a particular prayer to read. Actually had one, but forgot to print it out next week. Unfortunately, the issue of abortion, women's rights, and civil rights in general will still very much be with us. For now, we'll read the one together on 223. Our God, God of our ancestors, we ask you to bless our country, its government, its leaders, its citizens, and its land. We offer a prayer of gratitude for the precious gift of living in a land blessed with sublime physical beauty, individual freedom, economic abundance, and a rich and magnificent history. We offer a prayer of thanksgiving for those who came before us, those whose sacrifices created a strong and vibrant nation. We acknowledge that there are those in our country who are suffering as well. We offer a prayer of hope for those whose cups are empty, for those whose freedoms have been curtailed, and for those who have not been able to share fully in all our country's blessings. We offer a prayer of support for leaders of our government, understanding that leading a nation with such diversity and freedom is a difficult and daunting task. We offer a prayer of action to the citizens of our nation, that we understand our obligation to be involved in making our country a better place for all who live here. Our God, God of our ancestors, bless our country, its government. Let us say, Amen. And if you want to know a little more about Jewish views on abortion, it was the subject of a text study sermon about, 7 weeks ago, whenever the leaked rumor of the case came out. You can find it on YouTube. Prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu Shabashamayim, Zur Israel Go'alo, Barech et Medinat Israel, Reshit Tzmichat Kulatenu, Hagen Aleha, Be'evrat Chasdecha, Ufros Aleha, Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha, Ve'mitecha, V'rashea Tzarea, Yotzea, Mitaknem, Ve'etza Tova, Milfanecha, Hazeh, Hey, Mignei Eretz Kochenu, Anhilem Eloheinu Yeshua, Vateret Nitzachon Teatrem, Ratata Shalom Ba'aretz, V'simchat Olam, V'yishveh, V'nomar. Amen. Blessing for the new month, page 227. Please rise, and Steve, come on back up with the Torah. It's the month of Tammuz, which is coming up. I want to make sure I believe it's Wednesday and
Thursday. So, Yom Revi'i, Yom Hamishi. Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, shekadesh aleinu et hachodesh haba l'tova u'livracha, v'titen lanu chayim aruchim, chayim shel shalom, chayim shel tova, chayim shel bracha, chayim shel parnasah. V'im shel pilutz atzamot, v'im sheyesh bahem yirat shamayim v'yirat chet, v'im she'en bahem busha u'lima, v'im shel oser v'chavod, v'im teh manu avat Torah v'yirat shamayim, v'im she'malahu v'shalot libenu l'tova. Amen. Selah. M'i she'asa nasim lavotenu v'galotam me'atot lecherut v'yigalotanu b'karov v'kabetz lechenu me'arba kanfot ha'aretz Havrim Kol Yisrael v'nomar Amen. Rosh Chodesh Tammuz yeh b'yom ha'chamish Yom Revi'i v'yom ha'chamishi Haba aleinu v'al Kol Yisrael l'tova. Yivacheu Kadosh Baruch Hu aleinu v'al Kol Amo Beit Yisrael l'chaim u'shalom l'sasod u'simcha Yeshua u'nechama v'nomar Amen. Go ahead and put that back. I do not see any 6th, 7th graders or 7th, 8th graders. We may be seated. In fact, the majority of the 7th graders are actually at Jewish camp. In particular, they're not at Camp Ramah, Southern California, Northern California. They're not at Toowoomba. They're not at Newman. For some reason, this particular class goes to a young Judea camp in Wisconsin. But one goes, all their friends go. It's just the way these things go. And I'm not making Tamar and Simone do it. They're already seniors in high school, so right? You're seniors, right? Yeah, crazy. All right. So actually, we're gonna go. This side of the room is going to start, and this side of the room is going to respond. 231. Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha, Ashrei Amshei Kachalo, Tehillah LeDavid, Lechoyo Bavartecha, Allah Shimcha Leolam. Shabbat Masecha U'Rotecha Yahidu U'Rotecha Yomeru U'Rotecha Asaprena Amen Berachnu Adonai Erchamayim U'Ro Chased Poteach et yadecha, u'matzvia l'kol chai ratzon. Shomer l'kol ha'olam, v'shalim yashmin. We rise to the return of the Sefer Torah to the Ark. Same Torah carrier and Ark openers, come on up. Page 234. Alu et Shem Adonai, ki niskav Shemo levado, Odo aleret Shamayim,
Vayoret Keren Le'omo, Tila Lechol Chasido, Livnei Yisrael Am Keromo, Hallelujah, Hallelujah.
Each more than Navi.
Adonai b'nei Limam, Adonai kavod, Adonai kevod shemo, Yishtachavu Adonai me'av, Kol Adonai ha'amayim, El kavod hirim, Adonai ha'amayim rabim, Adonai ba'adonai, Kol Adonai be'adonai, Kol Adonai shover Anaviv,
Moed Lebanon v'Sirion, Kemo ben Reimim, Adonai, Rabotei, Kol Adonai, Yakim Midbar, Yakim Adonai, Midbar, Kol Adonai, Kol Adonai, Sof Yaron Lechalo, Kulo, Erkapo, It's Vayim Hi, Levazikim Ha, Betokeha, Merusha, Leracheleha, Tarvenoa, Lechol Timoteha, Shalom, Hashimeinu Adonai, We may be seated. And sermon part 2 will be given by Sharon Alva, who will explain a little more about a project that she is doing in helping to preserve, restore, rejuvenate a community of Jews from where her ancestors come in the Czech Republic. So excited to hear more about it. Come on up, Sharon.
Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to tell you a little bit about a small Jewish community that is trying to hang on in Litvich in the Czech Republic. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, and you'll see why I care so much about this. And I'm hoping that it's important to others as well, as I'm trying to support them through COVID, which has really been financially devastating for such a small community. In the early 20th centuries, after a long history of discrimination to the point where Jews were not allowed to spend the night in this town, the community started to grow. And by the 1920s, there was 3% of the population was Jewish, and about 1,400 souls lived in Litvich. It was also called Reichenberg, and that was the German name for it. In the Sudetenland, they had been back and forth Czech-German. From 1892 to 1938, Rabbi Emil Hoffman led the congregation, and it was a progressive community. It was then, and it still is now. They were not a part of Orthodoxy, and they were so well integrated to the town, in fact, that the rabbi was good friends with the mayor, who was German, clearly not Jewish, and the mayor paid very heavily for that friendship down the line. By 1938, most of the community had escaped, and as the Nazis broke through the border, the rabbi and his wife escaped pretty much at the last minute, came to Palestine, where they lived the rest of their lives in Tel Aviv. It was shortly after that, it was Kristallnacht in November of 1938, that the synagogue was burned down to the ground. And as that happened, it was viewed by the local community that came out to laugh and cheer as the synagogue collapsed. This was reported in the New York Times at the time. There were some eyewitnesses, and a few days later it was reported in the United States. Jewish life was completely extinguished in the community. And after World War II, a few people came back, mostly from DP camps, and some Carpathian Jews, as that land became Ukraine, also came back. Under communism, though, they were again repressed, and there was really very little or no Jewish life there. And so in 2000, it was pretty remarkable that they were able to, using the land of the old synagogue, make a deal where a technology library was built at the site, and at the very end of this library, a very small Jewish synagogue was built. It's a glass triangular building, 2 stories, a chapel upstairs, a social hall downstairs. Would fit in this little corner here. And the outline of the old synagogue is in black stone on this plaza where the library sits. So you can see the old footprint, but nothing else remains. And I'm actually here because of a Facebook post. So in March 21, I was tagged on a post on Facebook that said, "Dear Israeli friends, I'm in search of descendants of Professor Dr. Emil Hoffman, who served as the rabbi of the Jewish community of Liglich in the Czech Republic. Could you spread it among your contacts? Toda Rabah, Pesach Sameach." So that's how I got connected. In fact, I'd been there in 2016 when I traveled with my son in 2016 to Czech Republic. We went there, we were there for a couple of services, and I thought that was it until this post came up. And Rabbi David Maxa was installed there in 2020, and through the COVID, they've been able to recreate some members of Jewish life there, life cycle events, education for children and adults, and just becoming a part of the community again, of greater Liglich community, but also people choosing to come to Giyul classes because they're descendants of survivors. And but COVID then, after Holocaust and communism came COVID. They have very little funding. All the funding for small Jewish communities in the Czech Republic come from the Jewish museums in Prague. Many of you have probably been to those wonderful places in Prague, but without that funding coming in, without tourism, they are battling just needing funds for things like electricity, just the basic utilities, some their small staff, and these educational programs they're doing. So I'm sure that this is not the only small community like this. This is one that I have a personal connection to, but at the same time, I just hope that we can help sort of these small little embers of Jewish life. I cannot believe sometimes when I think that it took almost 100 years from destruction to come back to having Jewish life again. So I'm going to make these pages available if anybody wants, put them in the back. Tells a little bit about the community, has pictures of the original synagogue, which was gorgeous, it looks like, and then the new, smaller synagogue that's at the end there of the library. There is a QR code at the bottom. And if you scan it, it'll take you to our page. And hoping very much to be back there again and to see them continue the work they're doing. Thank you.
Yasher Koach. Thank you so much, Sharon. And now, Darchei Noam, we call upon our groom to lead us in Musaf. Please rise, page 239.
יתקדש ויתקדש שמך בה, ימה נברכי חוטא וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ועד וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. Page 241. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagit tehillatcha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקודמי הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב והושיע, מכפר חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות תמידו מלך מלך במית ומחייל ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים נעריצך ונקדישך כסוף שיח שרפי קודש אמרתי אישים שמך בקודש ככתוב היד אליך וכבשר זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוא כל הארץ כבודו כבודו מלא עולם משרתיו שואלים זה לזה איה מקום כבודו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו ברוך כבוד אדוני מקומו הוא יפן ברחמים ויחונם המייחדים שמו ערב בבוקר בכל יום תמיד פעמיים באהבה פעמיים באהבה שמה אומרים שמה ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד הוא אלוהינו הוא אבינו הוא מלכנו הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו ברחמיו שם לעיני כל חי שעיני עיני כל חי להיות לכם לאלוהים לימים בקודשך כתוב לאמור הנה אדוני אלוהי ציון לדור ודור הללויה לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש לשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue on our own, finishing Musaf between pages 247 and 258. Also a good time for private meditation and blessing.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. ואמרו אמן.
Hadith Shalem, page 259.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועל מה דיברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחיי חונו ויום חונו וחיי בכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו, יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם עולם והלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה לאמירן בעלמה ואמרו. תתקבל צלות הון ובאות הון בכל ישראל קדם עבור הון דבשמיא ואמרו. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיא וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן.
Let's see if we have any kids coming out before Ein Kelahenu, or kids coming from there to help us with Ein Kelahenu. Oh, we got a few. Come on. Alton, you want to come up, join your sister and cousin, and Ein Eloheinu, Ein Kadomeinu, Ein Demoheinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadomeinu, Mi Kemoheinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nogel Eloheinu, Nogel Eloheinu, Nogel Eloheinu, Nogel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shektiru, Avotenu, Please rise for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות אדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככהמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגבי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו הנוד, אמת מלכנו אפסונתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשמותה אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, אל כן נקבל לך אדוני אלוהינו לראות מהרה בתפארת עוזך, להעביר גלולים מן הארץ והאלילים כמותי כרתון, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, וכל בני בשר יקראו בשמך, להפנות אליך כל אישי הארץ, יכירו וידעו כל יושבי תבל, כי לך תקרא קורבך, תשבע כל לשון, לפניך אדוני אלוהינו יקראו ויפולו ולכבוד שמך יקייתנו, וקדו כולם את עול מלכותך ותמלוך עליהם מהרה לעולם ועד, כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמי עד, תמלוך בכבוד. כתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
May be seated as we lovingly recall the memory of our departed relatives and friends whose yahrzeit we will observe during the coming week, thinking especially today of Sandy Aronson, Dodie and Horst Arnold Aaron, Ida Brash, Hilton Braverman, Goldie Breslov, Lizzie Gewurz, Aaron Gordon, Hilda Grutman, Harold Hanno, Miriam Hirschberg, David Heskin, Ethel Gold Heskin, Charles Horwitz, Lena Isaacson, Kenneth Katz, Ruth Kay, Ethel List, Abraham Lorenz, Milton Maidenberg, Anna Mutnick, Sam Nathan, May Peters, David Ross, Stephen Ross, Thomas Scharf, Mark Siegel, Howard Silverman, Alice Stockman, Rose Tesler, Nathan Turchin, Judith Wallerstein, Ben Warwick, Paul Harford White, Herbert Wittenberg. The memories of all of them are with us. We ask all those who are in mourning or observing yahrzeit, as well as anyone else who would choose to do so, to rise to the mourner's cottage. This time it's on page 267. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rava Ve'alma Divrach Yerutei Ve'avlich Malchutei Ve'chayechon V'yomechon Ve'edekol Beit Yisrael Bagala V'zman Kariv V'imru Yehei Shmei Rava Mevorach Le'olam Me'om Mayim Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitaleh V'yitalal Shmei Kudsha V'rehu La'ela Mikol Berchata Shirata Tushbechata, Menechemata, Gamiran, V'yalma, V'yimru. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru. Oseh Shalom B'imroma, Huya Oseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yimru. Amen. Pranam Livracha. In the memory of the people you've come to say Kaddish for your blessing to you always. So let us say, Amen. We call upon President Harry David Goodwin for announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. First of all, thank you to Deborah Hoffman-Wade for ushering, our Torah readers, Susan Simon, Sheila Nolan, Audrey Kaufman, Joan Corinne, Rabbi Bloom, and the Rabbi for reading the Haftarah. And thank you very much to Sharon Alva for the Drash. And Charlotte Ragones and Noam Birnbaum for leading services along with the rabbi. I did remember when listening to Charlotte, one service we attended about 18 months ago where there was the rabbi, Charlotte leading the service, one of Charlotte's parents, and me. And it's nice to see so many more people here today. Today's Kiddush is sponsored by the Millmans celebrating 50th wedding anniversary. I think they got married looking at them when they were each 16. And Noam and Michelle, and it was wonderful to hear them do the Aliyah and to hear them sing in harmony. This is a relatively quiet week. Morning services on Mondays and Thursdays. We're going to be trying a board meeting outdoors here in person, which is only the second one since the pandemic. Weekly text study Wednesday morning. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Mahjong at 12:45 after lunch.
So there's Mahjong today after the lunch, which I believe is Indian food themed, and should be delish. And yeah, next week he said it, but I want to emphasize it again. It's this Friday, free hot dogs and veggie dogs if you come to services, or even if you just come for that after services, I suppose. And no gefilte dogs. We are not going to experiment with that. I said, how many of you saw that gefilte dog thing? But as someone pointed out, gefilte fish are basically hot dogs in fish form anyway. So, in any case. And then, next Saturday, Minyan leading everything, the regular Minyan. Oh, wait, no, before we go on, yes, thank you for the reminder, Karen. We got a lot of guests today. So, actually, we'll start with you, Noam. Who came to be with you?
Let's see. I'm going to go down the row, basically. My older brother, Ronnie, my mother, Elisheva, my younger brother, Ilan, Ilan's family, Evan, his wife, Marcy, and also their child, Nava. And then in the back, let's see, I see Michelle, my betrothed, her younger son, Jeremy. Sorry to call you child, Jeremy, you're graduating college. Barbara's sister, Alina, old family friend member by everything, and John and Mary, and old friends. Did I miss anybody? Oh, brother Jerry back there. Wait, who's over there? They're my kids. I couldn't see. My kids, Camille and Ailey. So
they're not guests, so it's fair enough, but still, yeah. Awesome, thank you for coming. Great to have you and celebrating. And all right, Joe, Sheila, who came?
Well, we have our daughter and son, Suzanne and they're fine, and their daughters this year. And my other daughter, the Tells, Jennifer and Van, and their daughter, Maya.
Fantastic. Well done. Welcome to all of you, and we have also a first time here. We put him to work as one of the tall guys on our Kuppah. So Eric is back there, and I know he just moved to the Bay Area. I know he told me he spent about 10 years in Israel. Is that right? 8 years in Israel. So good. Welcome to you. Great to have you here. Any other guests today? All right. I will announce, though, for those who don't know, stay here. We're going to rise for Kiddush after Don Olam, do Kiddush and Motzi here, and then you go down, leave your masks on, take your food from the social hall, and bring it out outside where obviously you take off your mask seat. And all right, Don Olam, page 269, is that what we're doing? Or?
Yeah, Don Olam on 269. And David, thanks for the nice words about our Aliyah. If we did it in harmony, it was completely by accident, which is hopefully a good sign for the future of our marriage. 269. Adon Olam Asher Machnav B'terem Kol Yitzir Mihima Leid Nasa V'chefzo Kol Asai Melech Shemo Nikra Be'acharei Yichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Noha Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hoveh Ve'hu Yiyeh B'tifara Ve'hu Echad Ve'en Sheni Lehamshir Lo Lehachbira Beli Reshit, Beli Tachlit, Velo Ha'oz, Ve'ha Yisra, Ve'hu Eli,
וצורם לי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא ידו, אקיב רוחי, והייתי שם בעירה, והמרופי גביעתי, אדוני לי ולא יירא. שבת שלום.
All right, please rise for the Kiddush. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat, Pasor, and Shabbat, Le'Yorari, Kolan. Many women in Israel, Oti, Le'olam, Oti, Le'olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, Shabbat, Pasor, and Shabbat, Le'Yorari, Kolan. Sheshri Masadonai Hashamayim V'yet Ha'aretz V'shamru b'nei Shabbat, Ve'inafa Shabbat, Va'inafa V'shamru b'nei Yisrael, Shehu Sabri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. B'tei avon.